My 15F stepfather 49M and mother 43F want me to cut all contact with the stepsister 18F I just met, because of something they aren't telling me. Should I ask her what is going on or wait for them to explain? Too long didn't read, is the title itself. Update: throwaway account cause cousins and friends follow me on main. Sorry if it's way too long. In May this year, my mother caught the thing that shall not be named, no symptoms, so she was and is fine, and my stepfather was presenting a few symptoms, but neither she or him were bad enough to be admitted at an hospital, so doctors recommended staying at home and all that. Because I, 15F, have a weak immune system, both of them called some of our relatives who lived close by to see who could keep me for a few weeks, but majority of them couldn't, and the only one who could, was making me share a room with 3 of my male cousins. So we all refused. With no options, my stepfather called his daughter to ask this favor, and she accepted. Before I even packed my things, my mother pleaded me to stay the max of my time there in the guest bedroom, trying my best to not get involved with her stepdaughter. Going to call her Asa. To be honest, until that point, I barely knew her. I even imagined her being 20-something. The only thing I knew was that she lived relatively close of us. I was getting ready to pass the most uncomfortable weeks of my life. I was damn wrong. Asa is only 3 years older than me, and she is one of the funniest, charitable, and kindest people I ever met. The whole first week Asa put the extra mile to get to know me, and make things comfortable for me. One example is, she shares the house with 2 college students that she rents suites on a more private part of the house, but she asked them to keep most of their time on their part of the house while I was getting used to the new living situation. And the house she lives is like this perfect paradise. Issa lives on a big house that has a greenhouse and a garden where she plants vegetables, fruits and flowers. She inherited from her aunt, who raised her and taught Asa everything about it. There's also so many puppies, and kittens, and little burbs. She takes care of them while they are finding a place to live. I was in awe the whole time there. She taught me how to cook a few foreign dishes, how to take proper care of plants. She introduced me to Lonely Island because I'm a new Andy Samberg fan, and she even helped me with homework. I had such a wonderful time. After my stay ended we decided to keep in touch. We basically talk every damn day. Today we were on Discord being loud as hell, laughing and having fun as we've been having since May. And my stepfather knocked on the door and asked me to go help mom with lunch. My stepfather asked who I was talking to, because he didn't recognize the voice. My mother chimed in and said she heard us talking another day, and asked if I wanted to invite my new friend to dinner. I decided to stop omitting things and told them it was Asa, that we were getting along pretty well. My stepfather made an annoyed face and my mother acted like I punched her in the gut. They started telling me that Asa was a terrible person, that she always been since she was a child. That talking to Asa now that it's not needed anymore was an act of betrayal. Asa was manipulative, a liar. They warned me not to get involved when I went there, and they only sent me there because they didn't had another choice. When I tried to defend Asa and ask the whole story, my mother started crying, like really crying. My stepfather said that I don't have any idea of the amount of pain Asa put them through. I tried to ask again the whole story and said I wasn't going to stop talking to Asa until they tell me. They told me to go to my room. I was calling Asa to ask the whole story, but my stepfather came in, took my phone and cancelled the call before she could even answer the phone. He yelled at me calling me insensitive, and left. I cried a bit in my room before lunch. After a silent and awkward lunch, my mother gave me back my phone and warned me not to contact Asa. She told me they were going to tell me everything at night, after work. What should I do? Should I try to call Asa again? She sent me a text asking everything okay, right after my stepfather took my phone. She is so kind, so I have no idea of what she could have done. Maybe she is manipulative, is using me to revenge, and I should listen to my parents. Maybe I ignored or am unaware of all the red flags she's been showing. All of this is making my anxiety flare up. I don't know what to do. and can't wait until night. And someone help me with what should I do? /_edit. So, my mom texted me saying they won't come home early, that I opened some deep scars, and they wanted to unwind a little bit. I won't be having my answers today. I already texted my grandma asking her to call me the moment she wakes up. She probably is asleep, as she lives in another country. I will try to sleep too for now. Thank you all for the advice. You need more information from your parents. Explain that you aren't trying to hurt their feelings by having a good relationship with your stepsister. From your perspective, she's been exceedingly kind and sisterly. To all, your parents are the ones who sent you to live with her for a few weeks. It would have been unthinkably rude of you to accept her hospitality and then refuse to leave your room. Naturally, you two became friends, and without more information from your parents, you don't understand why they would be so aghast that their daughters have a good relationship. Most parents would be delighted for their daughters to get along so well. Wow, I agree with everything you said, thank you. I would tell her your dad was being mean and you're okay. Then, wait to hear what your parents say. Then, talk with Asa. There are always two sides to every story, so it would be good to hear both perspectives of whatever their reason for her being a manipulative liar is. Lastly, it's your choice in the end if you maintain a relationship with her. Thank you. Your advice is solid. We'll hear them, and later I will talk to her. I really don't like the idea of Asa not being able to defend herself. You really need to sit down and ask your parents what she's done. Say you need to know so you can gradually cut off the relationship so she doesn't manipulate you, and you want to be aware of what she could try and do whilst you're slowly cutting her out. She sounds too good to be true, and I would listen to your mum and stepdad if they seem really bothered by this. I already pleaded with them to tell me. I asked them, how do you expect me to cut someone out of my life without giving me a reason? When my mum gave me back my phone, she told me I was right on this regard. And thinking back, she does look too good, but also, I can't shake off the feeling that is genuine. I'm lost here. If you want a complete picture, you have to get three perspectives: Asa's, your parents, and a different relative /S. According to comments, your grandma. Keep in mind the first to tell their side is not always the truth. Keep everything in mind, then once you have heard the diff perspectives, but do not come to your conclusion yet until you hear the different sides. After getting all the info you can, try to analyze the situation, and decide from there whether you want to continue a relationship with your stepsis. But honestly, the details from your parents are the ones with red flags. Asa grew up with her aunt, so that already implies that your parents are not involved in her life as parental figures when they should have been. Gardening and taking care of pets and animals are very intimate activities. You don't just learn them because you heard someone talk about it. You would have been spending a lot of time with your mentor with these things, so we can assume a close relationship there. And the fact that despite Asa's age, she inherited her aunt's sizable property instead of the aunt's older relatives says something. Inheritance and money can draw out the worst in people, and it's not far-fetched to think that there might be bitterness on your parents' part if the aunt did not leave them with anything. Another red flag on what kind of people your parents are, but left everything to her niece. This would be made worse if your parents demanded a portion from your stepsister and she did not budge, maybe to respect wishes of deceased aunt if she did not want anything to go to your parents. But these are all speculation, and the only thing you got against Asa is, she's too nice. But heck, good people do exist. But if you want to do a character check, maybe ask people who may know her ABT what kind of person she is. You can ask her tenants or neighbors or even other relatives you know. Your parents don't sound trustworthy. The fact that this girl who is 3 years younger than her stepsister has no information about her, including how close in age they were, and the mom was literally in tears, seemed a little extreme. And the grandma said he's not a good father, and Asa seemed objectively great. However, It doesn't mean that the girl is not manipulative. It's just always weird when they don't give you any information and expect you to not believe what you see. I have met a few people who were so charming they could convince you of anything, including one family friend who was in prison several times for scamming everyone including his unfortunate wife, and then the next time a girlfriend who thought he was real. He's back in jail now and he wasn't real. He always was scamming and he cost a lot of people who knew him money when they fell for his sincere intentions to do the right thing. I, 28F, gave birth to and gave up a baby for adoption 13 years ago. Now she has contacted me and wants to know more about me and maybe meet. Her parents helped her find me. What do I do? To an extent I know how she feels. I was put in the foster care system as a child and I don't remember my parents at all. I can understand wanting to know your family history, but I'm no prize. I do drugs, mostly to forget everything. I don't have a home. When I have a job I work in bars or strip clubs. I've prostituted myself to buy drugs. I would truthfully like to see the girl, but I'm worried it will hurt her to see what I'm like. On the other hand, it might make her more grateful for the mom who's raising her. I thought about stretching the truth about myself a little, but I realized that wouldn't be great. What do you think? Hi, I'm a child of adoption, and my parents wouldn't let me meet my birth mother until I was 18. There are a lot that an 18-year-old could understand that a 13-year-old wouldn't. I wouldn't respond to your birth daughter. I would reach out to her parents separately and say that you're not in a position to meet her right now and that you'll reconsider when she's older. You don't have to go into detail, but I think lying about who you are is a bad call, and 13 is way too young to understand what you've been through. Honestly, this will suck for the 13-year-old, but her mom telling her oh I guess she didn't reply and then helping her again when she's 18 is better than having to lie about who you are or expose her to something she isn't ready for. You do run the risk of losing this chance, but knowing what you know now, nothing would prevent you from contacting her when she is an adult. Caps for emphasis, not yelling. I genuinely hope you are able to find access to counseling. I know from experience that trauma will keep coming up until it's dealt with. I hope you find peace within yourself, Purple Heart. I was adopted. My bio mom is an absolute fucking mess. I still am grateful to know her and also know she gave me up for a reason. I think it'll help her to know you, either way. As someone who is adopted as well, I don't know my biological parents, nor have they, or I reached out. But emo, if you're concerned about her knowing who you really are, but want to reach out, maybe have a talk with her parents first. You can be honest with them and tell them everything, and then talk with them how to go about yourself and what to tell the child if they agree that it's a good idea to stretch the truth. Because then, when your child is older, it's up to their parents to decide to tell them the truth or not. I've been told that there's some things that I should know about my biological parents if I choose to ever reach out to them, but I can find out that information on my time. I'm thinking of trying to contact her parents to see if they'd be willing to talk. Are you happy with your parents? I know you came for advice about your daughter. I'm more worried about you. See yourself through her eyes right now and you don't like what you see. This doesn't have to be permanent. I wish you luck and hope for a full recovery. Can you contact her parents and tell them your concerns? They know her best, after all, and will know how to discuss it with her safely and help her come to a decision about whether or not she wants to proceed. I can try if they'd be willing to talk to me. That's a good idea, thanks. I caught my mom cheating with a family friend. I don't know if this is the right sub to post this, so if it isn't, direct me to where I should. Here is some background. I live in a city about an hour and a half away from my job, so I stay with my parents so that I don't have to pay for extra housing. My dad isn't home at the moment as he's working in Louisiana and we live in Texas. Last night, I got off work early and headed home to find the family friend on top of my mom. She wasn't fully naked, but from my point of view, I couldn't really tell what was happening other than him being on top of her. I immediately immediately left, and drove to a secluded place to calm myself down. After a while, I went back to gather my belongings and go back home because I couldn't stand to even look at my mom. She tried saying that he was forcing himself on her, and that she didn't want to do anything with him. I began yelling and telling her to call the police or to call my uncle. The family friend lives with my uncle, or my dad, that way we can do something about it, but my mom just kept saying she couldn't and didn't explain why. This makes me think this was an ongoing thing and that she might have been lying about the forcing himself on her. I don't know what to do. Should I call my dad and tell him? Should I even tell anyone? I'm honestly so terrified for what's going to happen. Please help me figure this out.